topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from experts on such topics as legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to our experts in community association law, estate planning law, tax relief, Medicare, public insurance adjusters, neuropathy treatment, business brokers, and personal injury law, along with many other topics. Now here's your host for the last 17 years, Steve O.
In Tennessee, one of the most beautiful states in the United States. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where for the last 17 years, we brought you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Hey, our show for the next 25 minutes is such an important show, especially with open enrollment right around the corner in October. And second of all, I went through this a couple of years ago, and it was so confusing, and I procrastinated with it, and I learned you've got to have a good agent. Well, we found not a good agent, a great agent. Listen to the name of the company, Mr. Nice Guy Medicare. Let me introduce you to the greatest agent, Medicare agent in Tennessee, Randy Hall.
Hey, Steve-O, how's it going?
How about that for an opening?
Hey, man, you gave me a lot to live up to right off the bat. You are correct about one thing for sure. Tennessee is a beautiful state. We live in God's country here. Lot of great sights to see here if you've never been. I'm not from here, so I have something to compare it to. I feel like we just talked yesterday.
Yeah.
It's been a couple weeks now. I'm back in the state of Tennessee. Last we talked, you got me at my vacation in Florida, but it's hot here, man. I don't know how. I'm sure it's hot where you are because you're in Florida, right?
Yes, it's always hot here. But, I got to tell you something. Last month, now that we're on TikTok, you just broke all kind of records.
That's probably the shirt I was wearing, I think.
It was amazing. And on YouTube. So he said, well, must be a lot of people are on vacation. And I got to tell you, I looked at our other shows because we do Medicare shows in other states too. You had the highest. So, people
all I could tell you is I used to be a DJ, so I try to bring that energy whenever I get on here with you. I know not to be boring. If nothing else, never be boring and no dead air. So,
well, I'm going to tell you something else you got, Randy. You are very knowledgeable when it comes to Medicare.
Yeah, and that helps too, so I don't get in trouble with the powers that be.
So tell people about Mr. Nice Guy Medicare.
So Mr. Nice Guy Medicare Advisor, that's the name of my company. We're based here in Franklin, Tennessee, a suburb of Nashville, but I can serve the entire state. So if you're, out there in Knoxville, if you're out there in Memphis, or all points in between, I can help you. I do offer all the different Medicare Advantage plan companies in the state, and I offer over a dozen Medicare supplements as well. If you are looking to improve your Medicare supplement rates or are turning 65, you see the number going there on the bottom of the screen. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I'm sure you'll ask me that later, but I've been in the business for 17 years and counting, and Google me. You're a football fan, right? You know that obnoxious coach, Curt Cignetti for Indiana? He said to a reporter one time, Google me. Well, I don't want to be as obnoxious as Cignetti, but Google Mr. Nice Guy Medicare Advisor, and you'll see I have a lot of 5-star Google reviews. So that's my pitch to you today.
Randy, I have to say this because advertising for Medicare is through the roof now with TV ads and with robocalls. But I must tell you, when you call those companies, you're only going to find out what they offer. See, with Randy, you're an independent, so you can offer them several plans.
I know I come on here, it seems like every time, and I'm a crusader against these call centers and robocalls. But there's a reason why, Steve-O. Number one, people get tricked all the time. They're looking for somebody who answers their phone and is not with it. And seniors are a very vulnerable population. And I had a lady, and I promise you, this lady did not know what she was doing. She got tricked off the plan I put her on and put on one that her doctor doesn't even take. And she has to get referrals for. And, you know, when you're 80 something years old, navigating referrals in the healthcare system, it's not something that you want to do.
Right.
So these tricksters who call you, do not engage with them. They're not looking out for your best interests at all. When you call me, I make a promise to everybody, and this is my promise. I will never make your situation worse. I saw a lady just yesterday. I went to her apartment. Normally people come to me, but I went to her apartment and I looked at her situation and I told her, I said, look, anything I would do, a different plan I'd put you on would be worse than what you have. So you're better off just sticking with what you got. Normally that's not the case, but when I come across that, if you talk to me, at least you'll know whether what you have is the best you can do. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure your phones are starting to ring now as we get closer to October. What are some of the questions that people have, Randy?
Well, the madness starts 2 months from tomorrow. That's when people who have a Medicare Advantage plan or a Part D standalone plan can make changes from October 15th to December 7th. The questions that I'm starting to get now are, how are my plans going to change? That I actually got asked that just today. A woman asked me that, and I had to tell her I can't tell you until October 1st, or if you get your annual notice of change, because like you're on an Advantage plan, right, Steve?
Yes.
So sometime in September, your plan will send you a form or document called an annual notice of change. And when you get that, that's they're telling you, you know, what copays are going up, if your plan's going to increase this or decrease that in terms of extra benefits. Well, once you get an annual notice of change, you can call your agent or me, and we can discuss it, because that's when it's legal. Once the company notifies you, I can discuss it. Otherwise, I have to wait till October 1st to discuss anything.
Wow. So, you know, I keep hearing that rates are going up on Plan D.
Part D? Well, so here's what's happened since we last spoke. There were subsidies. The last year Biden was president, he enacted the Inflation Reduction Act, and that's what capped all the Part D plans and this year it's $2,100 for Part D medications, right? Got rid of the donut hole, which was a good thing. But what he had to do, so these Part D plans, these not ones on your Advantage plan, but ones that are pretty much attached to your standalone. If you have a supplement and original Medicare, you have to get a standalone Part D plan in addition to that. So those plans were being subsidized for the last year and a half. They were giving these companies an extra $30 to $40 a piece so the rates wouldn't explode on them. So say like there's a company here in Tennessee, you can get a zero premium Part D plan, and we have another one that's $3.60, right? Well, once these subsidies expire, it may go from zero to say $30 next year. It may go from $3.60 to $35 next year, because these subsidies that they've been relying on are expiring. Now, if you're on an Advantage plan, they were not getting those subsidies. So you probably won't be affected so much by that. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. We're getting so many people wanting to know the difference between an HMO and a PPO.
Well, so the way I keep it straight in my mind is they both have networks. So HMO stands for Health Maintenance Organization. They are a strict network. So what that means is if there's a doctor that you want to see in a non-emergency situation, they must be in the network of that HMO for you to see them. PPO has in-network and out-of-network. So if you were to go outside of the network to see a provider, then you would have to pay a higher copay. Now, legally, I have to tell somebody when they're on a PPO, even though this doctor, they're not in network, you just can't show up out of the blue. You got to make sure they'll take your insurance.
Right.
So when you look at your copays on a PPO, there's in-network copays, which are always lower, and there's out-of-network copays, which are almost always higher. So PPO, you can go out of network. It's a lot looser network, and they don't require referrals. HMOs, and at least in my state, Tennessee, there's only one company that requires referrals for HMO. But that may vary by somebody else's state. Used to be zero, and then this last year, the one where the CEO got killed, unfortunately, and that company, they started requiring referrals on their HMO here in town. PPOs by law cannot require referrals for specialists.
I was just told I just got cataract surgery that they no longer have to get a referral. So I don't know who decided that, but that was the first time I was told I wouldn't need a referral.
Well, so you may have a plan that's more strict, but sometimes doctors require them. So every once in a while, somebody will call me and they'll say, "You said I didn't need a referral." Well, the plan's not requiring the referral. The doctor may be.
Okay.
So, and then in that instance, it wouldn't matter what insurance you have.
And then I keep hearing, a lot of reading that companies are pulling out of counties.
Mm-hmm. So I just heard this very week that they expect 1.5 million people at this point to lose their Medicare Advantage plan this year. So,
wow.
Yeah. And last year was worse. It was over 2 million. Because that Inflation Reduction Act created all kinds of chaos with these unprofitable plans. So what these companies are doing is they're trimming the fat, Steve-O. They're taking these plans that they're losing money on, or they may be antiquated old plans that people don't, that aren't great anyway, for the most part. Not always, but usually the plans that get eliminated aren't great plans. At least in Tennessee, that seems to be the case. I've only literally ever had 2 plans that I thought were good plans be eliminated, and I've seen dozens at this point. Last year was pretty close to an apocalypse from that from that standpoint. But there's a good part to having your plan be eliminated if that were to happen to you. And you're probably like, Randy, what are you talking about? What would be good about your plan being eliminated? Well, say you were in bad health and you were paying so much in copays and always coming close to your out-of-pocket maximum on your Advantage plan, right? Well, if you lose insurance through no fault of your own, i.e., they call it a service area reduction, if they were to get rid of your plan, you have a guarantee issue situation to get a Medicare supplement. Otherwise, you would never be able to get one. You would never get underwritten. So if you're somebody who's in especially bad health, that could actually be a blessing for you. Does that, are you picking up what I'm laying down?
Yes, I understand. Um, we just got a text from Chattanooga.
The Nougat. Love
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
Hey, I really like what I hear from your expert. What do you offer a client once you are their agent?
So once somebody is my client, what I do is an annual review or offer them an annual review, especially if they're Advantage plan, because those Advantage plans can change annually. I will always mail them a letter in September to give them a heads up that I will be reaching out. And then in October, me or my team give them a call. And certain plans I know are very stable, and there's a likelihood they probably won't have to change. So I will send them a letter basically saying, your plan looks good. I don't see anything that much better. But if you want to discuss it, I always want to hear from you. And then there's other people where their plan's changing for the worse, or in the case of what we just talked about, a service area reduction, I'll send them a different letter that would say, hey, we really do need to talk about your situation. Look forward to talking to you. And then in pre-AEP, which is October 1st to October 14th, I or my team will always call them to reach out to try to schedule a plan review. So they will be hearing from me, and most people are happy to do that because then they know you're looking out for them. Also, another thing that I do is because no insurance company has 100% approval rating, things happen. I'm going through a case right now where I don't know how it happened, but somebody's claims got all screwed up. They had their old insurance in there, and they were sending all the claims to the old insurance instead of the Medicare plan I put them on. It's a disaster. It's a mess. So what I'm doing is I am being their advocate, and I'm escalating the situation to help get it solved. If you signed up over the phone or you went on Medicare.gov and signed up yourself, you're on your own, man. You don't have somebody in your corner fighting for you like that. I'm not saying that I'm like a silver bullet over here, but if you got me fighting your fights for you, the odds that you'll win them and win them faster go up a lot. And I don't charge any money. That's what the commissions are for. And the commissions come from the companies. They don't come from the people. If you get an agent, whether it's me or anybody else, you don't pay us. The companies all pay us. So
Exactly.
we're just an added value.
I got to tell you, this is government stuff, and government always makes things so confusing. And it's so important. We just got a question in about Plan G.
Oh, okay. For MedSup?
Yes.
So is there a specific question or just talk about it?
I just want to know. They said, I just heard there's a Plan G versus F.
Okay, so F is only available to you if you were on Medicare prior to 2020. Okay. They grandfathered the people who were on Medicare before that in, and they could get it. If you're on Medicare or eligible for Medicare 2020 through now, you can't get an F. You can only get a G, but that's not a problem per se because there's only one difference. They're both Medicare supplements, right? F covers everything that Medicare doesn't in terms. So with the way it works is Medicare's primary, and then you pick a company like Mutual of Omaha or Humana or any of these, and they all have these standardized plans. And F covers everything that Medicare A and B doesn't, except for they cover it all. So if you have an F, they'll pay. Basically, you give them your Medicare and your supplement. You don't pay anything out of pocket but your premium, right? However, G only one difference. You have to pay the Part B, and it's $283 this year, deductible. Oftentimes, though, the difference in premium, Steve-O, is like $40 between I see that often. So why would you spend almost $500 a year for a $283 benefit? Right. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So G is typically the better plan anyway. And if your doctor or your hospital, if they take Medicare, they're going to take your supplement, whether it's an F or a G. And G is the most comprehensive coverage you can get now. Is that what they were looking for? And I sell over a dozen different companies that offer these Medicare supplements. So if you want to shop rates, you can call me too.
Randy, I want to tell people, you mentioned before, I'm on Medicare Advantage. All my friends said, "Oh, don't do that. The doctors aren't worth, at least, if you are on Medicare, you can choose who your doctors are." I got to tell you, I've had 2 knee surgeries and I've had one other problem. I have gotten the best doctors, Randy. I was shocked. I thought, well, because it was a Medicare Advantage, maybe I'd get less, and I love the gym too. That's
sure.
That's a nice perk. So I just want people to know that, first of all, it's so important you have a good agent like Randy, and I know customer service is so important to you, Randy.
Absolutely. Well, when it comes to Advantage, the way that I tell people is it's a lot like your employer plan used to be, but it's generally a better version of an employer plan.
Oh,
because you get to pick the company. When you're an employer, you usually don't get to pick the company.
That's right.
But also it's normally cheaper because you just pay your Part B premium for the most part. And then the copays are almost always lower. And a lot of the ones I sell, they don't even have a medical deductible. Every employer plan I've ever seen has a medical deductible. Right. So generally, if you liked your employer plan, Medicare Advantage is going to be very similar to that. So it gets a bad rap unnecessarily, in my viewpoint.
Well, I got to tell you, with all your show goes by so fast, and with all the questions, we did not get to GP1, which I promise Randy's going to be with us next month. I promise you we'll get to that. We'll talk about that in more depth. Randy, tell people again how they can reach you.
The easiest way is to call me at the number on the bottom, 615-578-5174. You can text or call me at that number. Or if you want to send me an email, you can go, I know this is going to age me, but I deal with seniors. randywhall@yahoo.com. I have a professional email, but that Yahoo is more reliable, ironically, and easier to get a hold of me. Less of a spam filter, I guess. So easier to get me on that randywhall@yahoo.com if you want to email me.
And I'm going to throw this in. You are going to love working with Randy. So no matter what part of Tennessee you're in, give him a call. Randy, we'll see you next month, bro.
Thanks, Steve. Always a pleasure. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You too, buddy. God bless. That's Randy Hall, Mr. Nice Guy, Medicare. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.